So a wrapper class is a class that surrounds another item in order to add some functionality to the item. So here we have some wrapper classes for the Java primitive types. And remember, Java primitives are not classes in their own right. So we have to have separate classes to give them some additional functionality. Their names are pretty easy to remember since they are just the name of the primitive types that they act on. But since the wrapper classes are full classes, we have to capitalize them. One of the biggest things to remember here is just that even though we have longs and longs and floats, the wrapper class for the int type is actually the fully spelled out integer. Okay, so everything else, and same thing with the char too. So we got char as the shortened version, but it's actually character. Okay, so these are the wrapper classes, and here's the primitive types that they operate on. And then finally, all the wrapper classes are in fact part of the java.lang package, and as you know from previous slide, the java.lang package is automatically included for you, so you don't have to do anything special to use these wrapper classes. You just have to call the class name and their methods. So let's take a look at some of those. One set of methods that you need to be familiar with is the parse method for each primitive type. When you use a GUI, or a graphical user interface, input is received as strings. So if you were to type something in here, you know, like A, B, C, sorry, I can't draw that well with the mouse. Any information you put into here is going to be inputted as a string. So if I put in, say, scratch that, say I put in 1, 2, 3, that's not going to actually be the number 1, 2, 3. It's going to be the string 1, 2, 3. So if we try adding 1, 2, 3 plus 4, we're not going to get 127. We're going to get, whoops, let me start over here. We're going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, because all we did was a concatenation. We didn't actually add the numbers together. So here's a list of the parse functions for each type. You should notice that we are using static methods by the fact that we are calling them with the name of the class. So integer, long, float, okay, and not the instantiated object of that class. So for example, to parse the string 5 to an integer, you'll need to call integer.parseInt and pass the string 5 as a parameter, either as a string literal, like shown here, or a variable. So in this case, user input is equal to 5, and we're calling parseInt on user input. All of the other primitive types work in the same fashion. Of course, we can go to the opposite direction as well and convert a primitive type to a string by calling the toString method. This is an important concept to remember as it carries over to multiple languages. If you ever do any web programming with JavaScript, you'll definitely need to remember this to convert your strings to numbers, because all data entered into a web form is in fact entered as a string. So here's some more examples just to reiterate the point. Here we are converting strings to numbers. And pay attention to the class that you're using. Again, integer is the most difficult one to remember. And here's some examples of converting primitive types to strings. So here you've got, you know, an integer year, and you've got a double score, and here you can see that we are calling the integer toString to make 2011 the actual string literal 2011, right? Okay. Sometimes we want to work with very large numbers, but since Java is designed to run on any system without being compiled for that operating system, you need to be careful to stay within the range of numbers that the system can safely use. So to figure out what you can use the wrapper class min and max value constants as seen here, or double or long. So here we have integer.maxValue and double.maxValue. And these constants will return the largest number of that type that you can safely store.